What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and of course, DK in the background running the show. Tonight, we're doing something a little different. Normally, we go live on Thursday nights, but we have the bye week, so we're going to talk about some poignant issues and storylines around the Baltimore Ravens. And Glenn, I tell you what, there's nothing more. What's the term here? There's nothing more of a lightning rod than two people, Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman. Right. And really they're hand in hand, but we're here tonight to focus on Greg Roman and not only Greg Roman, but also the comments of Peyton Manning, during the Monday night game in assessing Greg Roman's play calling. But before we get into all of that, take a second, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, give us a like if you like the video, and leave all your comments below because we are looking forward to hearing from you. But Glenn, I think this is how we'll do this. I want to watch this video from Monday night, get Peyton's take, and then let's talk about let's opinionate. I don't know if I made up that word or not, but let's do it.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear what old Pepe has to say.
Old Pepe.
All right.
Creative, like you said, they have the RPOs, but they have these kind of looks like play action. It ends up just being a running play. They do a good job pulling tight ends, pulling guards. This guy's one of the top coordinators out there. Really good guy.
And a good guy.
They say it's what's so difficult. It's not just
he knows him personally.
Zone read and RPOs. It's
I wouldn't doubt it.
Power read, and they're guards are pulling, and it's downhill.
I bet he makes you feel like he knows you.
Motions and different things, and sometimes they're reading different things. Lamar's getting outside. Lamar's running power in the middle, so it's a lot of different looks, and everybody you got to know your assignments, and you got to know where Lamar is and who has him, who's got the quarterback in case he runs the ball.
You see Dennis Allen right there, Eli. He's saying, what personnel are they in? He wants somebody to tell him in his ear, hey, the Ravens are in three wides, right? They're in, two backs. Then he knows what defense to call based on their personnel.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, Glenn. I mean, there's a lot of takeaways from that. I think it's fair to say Peyton's certainly one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
And two Hall of Famers here that are talking. So talk to me. What's your take, sir? What say you?
Yeah. So when I see Peyton Manning, he to me looks like he's almost salivating over having what it must be like to have a run game like that. Look, Peyton Manning was not just a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was his own offensive system when he would show up. He took over. There was no need really for an offensive play caller or offensive coordinator when he showed up.
Kubiak didn't know what to do.
Yeah, he is his own offense when certainly towards the latter parts of his career, once he's already established himself as being the great Peyton Manning. So I think what's more impressive hearing it come from him is this is a guy who is literally orchestrate his own offense. This isn't just a quarterback who followed the play call that came into his headset and he, passed that along to his teammates and ran what was called, or even to a more degree where he had multiple calls that he could bring to the line of scrimmage and based on what he was seeing, check into whichever call he felt most comfortable. No. This is a guy who organized your practice. He came up with your game plan. He executed that game plan on Sunday. So I take his opinion a little bit higher than even other great quarterbacks who have, been in the same position as far as evaluating or being an analyst mid-game, because this guy literally has done the job. So I think what's really cool is he's now admiring the opposite. It's like two opposite ends of the spectrum. Not that Peyton didn't want to have a good run game. He certainly did, but his emphasis was in the passing game. So it's like now he's getting to admire the other end of that spectrum. Like, wow. So this is a high-end, high complexity version of what I did, but just the run game version of what I used to do from a passing game standpoint. So it's hard for, someone like myself I'm certainly not a football expert. I'm a huge football fan and try to pick up things where I can, but I'm no football expert. So to hear Peyton Manning's kind of take on things as I'm trying to clear my throat. It's cool because, we can see guards pulling, we can see guys moving, and we can see all that. And like, wow, that looks confused. We can see the pause that it creates in the defensive front seven. Certainly when the linebackers are standing feet planted for the first second of a play before they realize who the hell has the ball. We can see all that, but we don't know how unique that is, in the grand scheme of things. Cause a lot of times we watch our game and we see highlights of the other games, except for the primetime games, of course, but we don't watch other teams as closely as we watch our team. So we almost take it for granted how complex and intricate this run game is. But maybe that's wrong on our end. And maybe we got to start thinking, well, I get that people say, what if they can bottle up this run game? Then what? Well, can't we say the same with every team and go, well, their bread and butter is this. Well, what if they bottle this up? Can they beat you this way? So I think those criticisms we find spoken about Greg Roman can be said about all the offenses, and maybe we should stop taking him for granted and stop taking this offensive for granted. I mean, they are 5th in the league in points, and that's something that as Ravens fans we're not used to always seeing, except for when Greg Roman's been here.
Yeah, and to something that let's see what DK's got up here on the screen. Peyton Manning on Greg Roman in offense. They're creative. They have the RPOs, but they're like these run plays that look like play action. They do a great job pulling tight ends, pulling guards. The guy's one of the top coordinators out there. Really good guy. That's the most important part. He's a really good guy.
I bet he's on his Christmas card list.
But this is what I've got to say that I think is interesting, and this is why I think him and Lamar are such a good pair. So something that I think people don't realize is how difficult it is to come up with something that is relatively original, right? Like he didn't invent football. He didn't invent the run game, but like you talked about uniqueness. Synonymous to unique is original, right? Like a lot of this is original to Greg. And then on top of that, not only do you come up with it, then to execute on that. Like people have ideas and they're a dime a dozen, but executing on those ideas is rare. And the thing I think about Greg is that a lot of his scheming is original, and Lamar is one of one, right? Like he's an original. Lamar Jackson is inimitable, right? Like he cannot be just replaced and copied, And so I think that's what makes them a great pair. And why, it's such a powerful offense and a high-powered run game. But to Peyton's comments, and just like you said, to hear that from Peyton Manning, knowing that it's not just lip service, knowing that he's not a color commentator that's just on TV, that had one interview with Greg or was given a stat sheet or somebody saying something in his ear, right, means so much more to, I think, to, like you said, to you, to us, to Ravens fans. And it's exciting. I mean, I think that Greg Roman, at the end of the day, I think is a bit underappreciated here, Glenn. I think people are too quick to pull the trigger. And it's funny to me because the termination of a relationship is not always the best way to go, right? Like, let's figure out how we can improve this relationship.
Getting through the tough parts is the
makes it better, right? Like, let's figure out how we can improve it. And this is what I've got to say about Greg to his credit. It might sound like I'm up here like giving Greg Roman his flowers. Look, I'll also be the first person to get upset if the play call looks stupid. But at the end of the day, I think what's been important with Greg is he's been willing to take the input from others and improve the passing scheme. And I think that's helped the run game. Yeah. And obviously him as a coordinator. So I think that is what's most important. He's not rigid in my thought, or at least in my mind, he's not rigid in the feedback that he gets and his ideology.
Well, he certainly welcomed some pretty big time help to his offensive staff. Now, whether that was his choice or was directed, for him, either way, certainly took those guys in, and I think the offense is better for it. But I will say this, Jimbo, having said all that, I still have no problem with, I don't find Greg Roman to be above criticism. I don't think that he's a guy that when you see him have a head scratching moment that you can't come out and speak on it. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think he's had moments where you go, was that just a throwaway? It felt like a throwaway play. Like it felt like that wasn't a play that had a lot of thought behind it. It just felt like a throw in. But then there's way more plays that you can see where he's setting them up, and then boom, hits them with that. So I just think that you have to give fair criticism and fair credit when it's due, but not give this. What I don't like is when we have this great offensive explosion the players get all the credit. And when we have horrible offensive games, the coaches get all the blame. I don't understand that. I don't get it. And I will also say this, Jimbo, even with a great offensive coordinator in a match or it seeming like a match made in heaven where things have worked out, I do also realize that there is also a time to move on and a time to have a fresh voice, a fresh leader, a fresh, direction. I think there's also time for that. I'm not saying that time is now, but I am saying that even with the best matches, there is also time to move on and see what else, other opportunities you have. But right now, if I'm the offense, if I'm a Ravens fan or if I'm the owner here is Steve Bisciotti, I look down, I say this offense, man, has a whole lot more to be excited about than to be not. There's really only one thing you kind of got to, get rolling again, and that's just getting back to a more efficient pass game. I think what we've seen, Jimbo, is the turnovers have gone down. So what I like to see is that this team is learning offensively that they can win without, Lamar Jackson having a cape on his back. They can win games without Lamar Jackson being Superman, which is awesome, because once he returns back to the efficient quarterback that I think we're used to seeing, and then he throws that cape on here and there, which he did. He certainly still did in moments of last week's game, even though he missed some throws. Bunch of third down runs. He hit that beautiful throw to Likely on the play action. There were still tons of great moments, but I think once you combine those great moments with the layups, man, this offense, it's going to be tough to stop, Jimbo.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think it's exciting. And at the end of the day, what this made me realize is that I think, like you said, there's a balance, and the criticism and the praise needs to be fairly distributed. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that Greg Roman is here. And I don't see right now, I don't see a replacement in-house or outside that is a legitimate possible replacement for Greg Roman that would be worth uprooting him to replace him with. So
just do like the Colts did. Just turn on your television and whatever analyst you see, make them your.
We're gonna bring Ray in to call plays. Like, are we gonna bring?
Dude, Field Yates is up there. You want to bring Field in?
No.
I mean, it just seems like that's what Jim Irsay did. He just turned on his TV. Acho, what's his name? Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah, please, no. No. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, this was validation for Greg Roman. And one of the things I want to say, just because I know that people are thinking this, yeah, Peyton doesn't watch every single Ravens snap, but I think it only takes Peyton Manning about 5 minutes of watching an offense the dude's a computer. Like, he ingests all this information that goes right over our heads so quickly.
That's because nothing gets over that forehead.
Nothing.
That forehead catches everything. I mean, holy smokes.
Jeez, poor guy. Goodness gracious.
Hey, I'm speaking from come on now.
Hey, I didn't say it. You said it.
You see this billboard. Come on now. I'm allowed to say it.
At the end of the day, I think we're both excited that Greg Roman is here, but I also realize there's a lot of people out there that think the exact opposite. So I'm glad Greg's here. We would love to get your guys' thoughts on Peyton's comments. DK, if you got any blurbs you want to put down here as far as your thoughts on it as well, I think it would be interesting. But just remember, Ravens fans, that sometimes you don't always know what you got till it's gone.
The song just popped into my head.
That's right. Peyton Manning, an up-and-coming offensive coordinator.
Hey, Jeff Saturday is the head coach. Why not make
Peyton?
Why not make Peyton your OC? You know what I'm saying?
You know why I don't think it would work?
Because Peyton's the sheriff. That's why. He ain't taking orders.
Well, no. I think Peyton would struggle to call plays. The same reason why Michael Jordan would struggle to be a coach. He's asking, like, oh, just do this, this, and this, and this. Yeah, Mike, you can do that.
Yeah, well, Peyton didn't do it off of physical ability.
Even trying to get somebody to think on his wavelength.
Yeah, good luck.
You know what I'm saying?
Luck.
Like, that would just be.
Imagine being a quarterback and
having to look at that. You bet his wristband would be the whole this entire sleeve.
That guy's way better than me still.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he could
hear you pulling in a play. There's no way he gets it in before the 15-second. You know what I mean? It's got like 30 words in it. You know what I mean? It's So
Yeah, he's not wearing a wristband. He's wearing an entire arm sleeve.
Yeah, it's
with
just a whole sleeve.
Just terminology. Just
That's-
written.
And
All
it's
right, this show has gone off the hills.
It's in
Or off the rails.
hieroglyphics.
This show's gone off the rails.
But let us know what you guys think about Greg Roman, Peyton Manning's comments. We realize it's a lightning rod. I think it was interesting, and the validation that a lot of Ravens fans that like Greg Roman needed. So if you
it wasn't just Peyton. It was
No.
also just. I mean, look at who was in
Baldy.
the Baldy was raving about. I mean, a lot of guys have been breaking down this run game, and it helps when you're on Monday Night Football because you got extra cameras in the building when you're on that Monday Night Football. So you get all those crazy angles, and it's just like, how does a defense even prepare? But let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and we'll talk soon.
See ya.
See you.